Hi everyone, this is Professor Gardner. I just wanted to send you a little note about the final exam for next week. Um, I appreciate all of you letting me know what would be most helpful for preparing for the final exam. Um, and this little video is based on those comments and questions, and me kind of further reflecting on the situation. So I initially was going to have the final structured very similarly to the midterm, and to some extent it will be still. Just like the midterm, you'll have 25 short answer questions on the final exam. But there are going to be some key differences. For one, I'm going to expand the time. And I believe for the midterm, I gave you an hour and 20 minutes. But for the final exam, I'm going to give you 3 hours. I also am not going to black out the lecture material this time around. So I want it to be available to you because I want you to learn the content. And if you missed it during the last few weeks because of, well, any variety of reasons, not the least of which is the pandemic, then this is an opportunity to go back and know it. Okay, the questions that I'm going to select for the final exam are ones that I feel are important for you to leave this class knowing and being aware of. So to review, two major changes for the final exam that will be different than the midterm. One, you're going to have more time, so you'll have 3 hours for the final exam. And two, I'm not going to black out the lecture material because I do want you to go back and review it and to know the answers to some of these questions and know how to answer them a little bit more completely. So I want to reduce pressure in this situation, and I want to privilege knowledge and content. So as far as content, what will you be tested on? This is not a comprehensive final exam. And it wasn't going to be in the first place. I usually give, in this case, the exam material is going to be everything since the midterm. Okay, so you're not going to have to know everything all the way back to Sandra Cisneros and House of My Own. You won't need to know anything prior to the midterm. So really, this final exam is based on your knowledge of the lecture and reading content for Dream Jungle and Beloved. As far as reading content goes, I'm only going to ask you questions based on the reading that I assigned you. Okay, you are not responsible for knowing the whole novel. Many of you have asked for study guides, but I'd like to remind you that the quiz questions are themselves a study guide. I'm not going to ask you any question that you haven't already seen before. Some of you have wondered why I haven't provided answers to the quiz questions. Well, I don't provide answers to the quiz questions because I want you to go and find it yourself. I do oftentimes put a little note like where you can find that information out. Okay, I want to guide you to where it would be, but you still need to find it. That's part of the learning process. Now, I know that some of this material sometimes is abstract, or for some reason or another, there's a misunderstanding. So if there is a question and you're having a hard time finding the answer to it within the lecture resources that I've provided you, I would say complete the quiz, do your best with your answer to it, and then email me and say, hey, Professor Gardner, I completed the Dream Jungle quiz for week 13. I was concerned about my answers to the lecture questions, especially question number, 3, right? Let me know of what specific questions you're concerned about in terms of how you answered. I will go and look it up. That's what those practice quizzes are there for. They're there for you to guide you to focus on what's important in the lecture and the reading. They're an opportunity for you to practice articulating your responses, to synthesizing the information in your own words. And if you want to have it checked, just let me know and I will go and do it for you. Okay? So that's a note on the content. As far as the The kinds of questions I'll be asking you, as I mentioned before, they will be short answer, but there's a ratio that I like to use. I like to do about 60% of the questions to be lecture-based questions, because that's the content that's less familiar. I feel like you're more inclined to do the reading. I know many of you have commented on the quality of the reading. I'm glad that you like what we've covered in this class. And to enrich that reading, I've provided that lecture content, and I want to see how are you digesting that. So with that being said, I do ask you a few more lecture questions than I do reading questions. For a 25 question exam, you can expect 15 of those questions to be based on the lecture material. That would leave 10 questions to be based on the reading content. Again, there are only short answer questions. There might be one multiple choice question in there, but there certainly will be no essay questions. So I believe that I have covered the questions that recurred in your journals about the final exam, and I've shared with you some new information about the final exam. So if this video prompts more questions, feel free to let me know. The exam period will be next Friday, and it will be through Sunday. So it's the end of week 17, Friday through Sunday. I believe that is May 15th through the 17th, because Thursday, May 14th is the last day that I'll be accepting late assignments, right? And remember, no penalty for that, for the late submissions. Just get the stuff in, okay? But from Friday through Sunday, it's final exam time, all right? I hope this video was helpful. I hope it calmed some nerves. And of course, if it did the opposite and you still have questions or concerns about the final exam, please contact me, okay? Please stay safe, and I look forward to seeing your papers and seeing how your thoughts have developed critically over the course of the semester. All right, take care. Bye-bye.